You never really expect your own sister to betray you in the worst way possible. But life has a way of throwing you into situations you could never imagine. I still remember the moment my entire world shifted. It was a quiet afternoon. Just another regular day when my phone buzzed with a call from an unknown number. I hesitated before answering, but something told me I should pick up. "Hello, is this Sarah?" a woman's voice asked. She sounded cheerful, professional. "I'm calling from the Bright Futures Surrogacy Agency about your application. We've reviewed your records, and we're excited to move forward with the next steps." I froze. My application? I hadn't applied for anything. There was a long pause before I finally found my voice. "I'm sorry, but I think you have the wrong person. I never applied to be a surrogate." Another silence. Then the woman on the phone cleared her throat. "Oh, that's strange. We have all your information here. Your name, medical records, even your signature on the consent form." That was the moment I knew. Angelina. The realization hit me like a punch to the gut. My sister Angelina had actually gone behind my back and faked an application using my name. And if this agency hadn't called me, I would have never even known. I felt my heart beat in my ears as I struggled to process what this meant. This wasn't just manipulation. This wasn't just family pressure. This was fraud. I had to sit down. My hands were shaking as I tried to piece everything together. Hadn't it been just a few weeks ago that Angelina had dropped the bombshell over dinner? How she was so excited that I would be her surrogate. How she had never even asked me before announcing it to our entire family. I should have known she wouldn't take no for an answer. But before I get ahead of myself, let me tell you how I got here. Because this isn't just a story about surrogacy. This is a story about family, betrayal, and the moment you realize that sometimes the people you trust the most are the ones who will hurt you the worst. Looking back, I should have known Angelina wouldn't take no for an answer. The night she first told me, we were sitting in my apartment drinking tea. She had just shared the big news. She was pregnant, or at least that's what I thought. Then she smiled and said, "Well, not exactly." "You're going to be pregnant." I nearly choked on my tea. "Wait, what?" Angelina sighed dramatically, like she was explaining something simple to a child. "I need you to be my surrogate." I blinked at her. "Angelina, that's a huge decision. And why are you acting like I already agreed?" She waved her hand dismissively. "Sarah, you're not using your uterus right now anyway." I stared at her in disbelief. "That's not how this works." "Come on," she pressed. "This is my last chance. Tom and I have been trying for years. We've been through so much. You know how much I want this. Don't be selfish." Selfish. That word hit me harder than it should have. I had spent my entire childhood being told that I wasn't as dedicated, responsible, or selfless as Angelina. And now here she was, using the same language, the same tactics, to guilt me into something unthinkable. I took a deep breath. "Angelina, I love you, but this is my body, and I'm not comfortable doing this." The look on her face hardened instantly. "Unbelievable," she muttered. "You just don't want to help. You never have." She grabbed her purse, stormed out, and within hours my entire family knew. The next morning my phone wouldn't stop buzzing. "Mom." "Sarah, call me. This is important." "Dad, we need to talk about your sister's future. You should reconsider." "Aunt." "Carol." "You are an angel. I'm so proud of you for doing this for Angelina." "Wait, what?" My stomach dropped as I opened Facebook. There it was, Angelina's latest post. "I'm so blessed to have a sister like Sarah. She's giving me the greatest gift of all, helping me become a mother. Family is everything." The comments were pouring in. "Sarah, you are an inspiration. What an amazing sister you have, Angelina." This brought tears to my eyes. I felt sick. Angelina had already told everyone. She hadn't even waited for my answer. She had announced it to the world like it was a done deal. I immediately called her. "Angelina, take that post down, now!" "Oh, stop being dramatic," she said breezily. "Everyone is so happy for us." "No," I said, my voice shaking. "You don't get to decide this for me." "I told you no." A pause. Then in the coldest voice I had ever heard from her, "You'll regret this." And she made sure I did. The calls from my parents didn't stop. Mom's voice dripped with disappointment. "Sarah, how could you? This is your chance to finally do something meaningful with your life." I clenched my fists. "Mom, I have a meaningful life. I have a career. It's just 9 months," she interrupted. 9 months to give your sister what she's always wanted. Are you really so selfish? Dad was worse. "Sarah, you need to think about family. What if you were the one who needed help someday? Guilt, manipulation, pressure. They threw everything at me, and it only got worse. I started getting messages from relatives I hadn't spoken to in years. Uncles, cousins, even my childhood piano teacher. Sarah, this is such a beautiful thing you're doing. Your sister is so lucky to have you. I always knew you had a good heart." I felt like I was losing my mind. Every time I tried to explain that I had never agreed, people either didn't believe me or said I was being dramatic. "It's just 9 months. Why don't you want to see your sister happy? You're young, you'll bounce back." But it wasn't just 9 months. It was my body. It was my career. I had just been promoted to lead developer at work. It was my life. And no one seemed to care. The breaking point came at a family dinner. Angelina had invited everyone over to celebrate the upcoming surrogacy. I walked in already tense, but nothing could have prepared me for what I saw. The nursery designs on the table. The baby shower plans. Angelina beaming as she told our relatives how she was so grateful for my sacrifice. I sat there, stunned, as she described my future pregnancy, like it was already happening. And then she turned to me with a big, fake smile. "Oh, and Sarah starts hormone therapy next week." That was it. I stood up so fast my chair fell over. "I never agreed to this," I said, my voice shaking. Silence. Angelina's face turned red. "Sarah," she hissed, "don't ruin this for me." I laughed. Actually laughed. "Ruin this for you? You did that yourself when you lied to everyone," Mom gasped. "Sarah, there's no need to be dramatic." I turned to my father. "Dad, did you know she never even asked me before posting on Facebook?" His face darkened, but not at Angelina. At me. "This isn't about you, Sarah," he said quietly. "It's about family." I felt my stomach drop. That was the moment I realized. It didn't matter what I wanted. To them, my body wasn't mine. It was just a tool for Angelina. I looked at my sister, her arms crossed, eyes full of entitlement, not gratitude. And for the first time in my life, I felt nothing for her. No guilt, no love, just anger. "I'm done," I said, and I walked out the door. For a few weeks, everything went quiet. Too quiet. I had expected Angelina to keep pushing, for my parents to keep calling, for more Facebook posts twisting the narrative. But nothing happened. I should have known that wasn't a good sign. Then, one afternoon, my phone rang. An unknown number. I almost let it go to voicemail, but at the last second I picked up. "Hello?" "Hi, is this Sarah?" a bright professional voice said. "Yes. Who's this?" "I'm calling from Bright Future's surrogacy agency. We're excited to move forward with your application." I felt the blood drain from my face. "My what?" I asked, gripping the phone tighter. "Your surrogacy application," the woman chirped. "We've received all your medical records and consent forms, and everything looks great. If you're ready, we can schedule your first appointment next week." My stomach turned. There has to be a mistake. I never applied. There was a brief silence. Then the woman cleared her throat. Well, we have all your information here. Your name, birth date, medical history, and your signature. My head spun. Signature? I had never signed anything. That's when it hit me. Angelina. My hands started shaking as I struggled to stay calm. Can you send me a copy of that application? Of course. I'll email it right over. I hung up and just sat there, my mind racing. She had actually done it. She had stolen my personal information, forged my signature, and sent a fraudulent application to a surrogacy agency. I opened my email a few minutes later, and there it was, my name, my date of birth, my medical records, which meant she had somehow accessed my health information, and at the bottom, a sloppy forgery of my signature. I felt sick. This wasn't just family drama anymore. This was identity theft. I drove straight to my parents' house. I didn't call ahead. I didn't text. I stormed in without knocking, my heart pounding. Angelina was sitting on the couch, scrolling through her phone. She looked up, surprised. Sarah? What are you? I threw the printed application onto the table in front of her. What the hell is this? Her face drained of color. Where did you get that? She whispered. Oh, I don't know, I said, voice shaking. Maybe from the surrogacy agency you lied to. Maybe from the people who called me, thinking I was willing to get pumped full of hormones and carry a baby I never agreed to. Angelina's eyes darted to our parents, who had come in from the kitchen. Mom frowned. Sarah, why are you yelling? I whipped around. Because your golden child stole my identity. Mom's face twisted in confusion. What? I pointed at the paper. She forged my signature. She stole my medical records. She tried to legally force me into surrogacy. Dad picked up the paper, his eyes scanning it. He frowned. Angelina, is this true? Angelina crossed her arms, defensive. I was just trying to help. Help? I snapped. You committed fraud. She glared at me. I had to do something, Sarah. You were being selfish. You weren't listening. This was my last chance. Mom put a hand to her chest. Angelina, tell me you didn't actually do this. Angelina scoffed. Oh, come on. What's the big deal? Sarah wasn't going to do it herself, so I just made it easier for her to say yes. I laughed. A cold, bitter laugh. Easier for me? Easier? You stole my identity and tried to trap me into pregnancy. She had the nerve to roll her eyes. Well, it's not like you'd actually go to the police. You wouldn't ruin my life over this, would you? I went dead silent. She thought she could get away with it, just like she had our whole lives. The broken vases I got blamed for. The car she stole in college that I had to cover for. The lies, the manipulation, the way our parents always swept it under the rug. But this was different. I took a deep breath and said, actually, I already did. I hadn't planned on going to the police at first. I mean, it was Angelina, my sister. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized I had no choice. What if she did this to someone else? What if she found another way to forge documents? What if I let her get away with this and she never learned? So I went to the police. I handed them everything, the emails, the documents, the fake signature. The officer listened carefully, then nodded. This is serious. Identity theft and forgery are crimes, and if the agency had moved forward, you could have been in a legally binding contract without your consent. Hearing it put like that made me feel sick. I filed the report. The police started an official investigation, and when Angelina found out, she lost it. I woke up the next morning to 20 missed calls. Then the voicemail started. Angelina. I can't believe you did this. You're ruining my life, Mom. Sarah, this has gone too far. She's your sister. Dad. Fix this, now. Even Tom, who had been silent this whole time, left me a message. Sarah, I don't know what to say, but I had no idea she was doing this. At least one person in this mess wasn't completely insane. But the worst part? That's when I got the biggest shock of all. A mutual friend called me. whispering into the phone like she was afraid someone would hear. "Sarah, there's something. You need to know. Tom had a vasectomy years ago." I nearly dropped my phone. "Wait, what?" "He never wanted kids," she said. "He told Angelina that when they first started dating, and she told him she was fine with it." I couldn't breathe. "So, if Tom had a vasectomy, then there's no way they've been trying for years," she said. "And there's no way she was ever planning to get pregnant." The room spun around me. Angelina had been lying about everything. "Su that guy sock ve Angelina juok foi bai." The moment I hung up the phone, I felt like I had stepped into a completely different reality. Angelina had never been trying for a baby. She had never been infertile. Everything, the guilt trips, the Facebook post, the staged family dinner, had all been a lie. For years, she had painted this picture of a heartbroken woman desperate to be a mother, struggling through infertility, and the whole time? She never even wanted to be pregnant. I needed answers. Tom had always been a background character in this mess. He never argued, never pushed, never spoke up when Angelina made her outrageous demands. But now, I needed to know the truth. I called him and asked to meet for coffee. He sounded hesitant, but he agreed. When I arrived, he looked exhausted, like a man who had been carrying a secret for too long. I wasted no time. "Tom," I said, staring him down, "did you ever actually try to have kids with Angelina?" He sighed, rubbing his temples. "No, I didn't." My stomach twisted. "But she told everyone." "I know," he said, cutting me off. "And I let her, because I didn't want to deal with the fallout." I stared at him, waiting. Finally, he exhaled and said, "I had a vasectomy years before I met Angelina. I told her that before we even got serious. She said she was fine with it." I gripped my coffee cup so hard I thought it might crack. "So why did she lie?" Tom shook his head. "I don't know when it changed. One day she was fine with it. The next she was talking about having a family. But she never mentioned anything about trying to conceive. She just started telling people we were struggling. And I let her. I thought it was just for sympathy. I didn't think she'd take it this far. I felt sick." "So she lied to everyone," I muttered. "To you, to our parents, to all our relatives." Tom ran a hand down his face. "Yeah, and I went along with it because it was easier than fighting her. But now I don't even recognize her." There was something in his voice, something he wasn't saying. "Tom," I said carefully, "there's something else, isn't there?" He hesitated. Then, in a voice so quiet I almost didn't hear it, he said, "Sarah, Angelina is pregnant." For a moment I thought I had misheard him. "But if you had a vasectomy, it's not mine," he said, his voice hollow. The world blurred. Angelina had spent months trying to force me into pregnancy, all while secretly seeing someone else. Felt like I was going to throw up. "Who's the father?" I finally asked. "Some guy named Mike," Tom muttered. "I don't know him. She admitted to the affair when I confronted her about everything." A million thoughts crashed into my brain at once. Angelina had spent years pretending she was heartbroken over infertility. She had manipulated our entire family into guilt-tripping me. She had tried to legally trap me into pregnancy. And all that. Time? She had been seeing someone else. I took a deep breath. "Tom, what are you going to do?" He gave me a sad smile. "I filed for divorce last week." For the first time in months, I felt something close to relief. Tom wasn't a bad guy. He had been manipulated just like I had, but unlike our parents, he had finally drawn the line. A few days later, my mom called me. She sounded different, not angry, not accusatory, just tired. "Sarah," she said softly, "can we talk?" I hesitated. "What's there to talk about?" she sighed. "I know you're angry, and you have every right to be. But I need you to know the truth about Angelina." I didn't respond. She's always been afraid of pregnancy, Mom continued, ever since she was a teenager. When she was 16, she watched our cousin go through a terrible, almost fatal childbirth. It traumatized her. She swore she'd never get pregnant. Frowned. Then why would she lie about infertility? Because she wanted a child, Mom said. She just didn't want to carry one. And when she saw that you could, she thought it was the perfect solution. The room felt suffocating. She was scared, Mom added, her voice breaking. But she went about it the wrong way. We all did. For the first time in this entire nightmare, Mom actually sounded remorseful, but it didn't erase what had happened. Angelina's fears didn't justify her lies, her manipulation, or her crimes. I took a deep breath. Mom, I don't know if I can ever forgive her for this, she sniffled. I understand. And for the first time in a long time, I believed her. Angelina gave birth a few months later. I wasn't there, but Mom sent me a picture, and despite everything, I couldn't deny that the baby was beautiful. I don't know what the future holds for me and my sister. I don't know if I'll ever be able to fully trust her again. But I do know this. I stood my ground. I protected myself. And for the first time in my life, I put me first, and I don't regret it. After everything that happened, I knew one thing for sure. I needed to leave. Not just my parents' house, not just the drama. I needed a fresh start. So when my company offered me a transfer to another city, I took it without hesitation. Packing. My bags felt strange. Like I was finally breaking free from something I had been trapped in for years. The weight of expectation, the constant comparisons, the guilt that was never mine to carry. I was leaving it all behind, and for the first time in my life, I felt light. Moving wasn't easy. There were nights when I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, wondering if I had made the right choice. Did I run away? Was I abandoning my family? Would I regret this? But then, something incredible happened. I started living for myself. I made new friends, people who knew me as Sarah, the software developer, not Sarah, Angelina's sister. I focused on my career, throwing myself into projects that challenged me and made me excited to wake up in the morning. I even started dating again, something I never had time for when my life was consumed by family drama. For the first time, my world wasn't revolving around fixing other people's messes. It was mine. A few months after I moved, my mom called me. Sarah, she said softly. We're coming to visit. I was stunned. Visit, I repeated. Yes, she said. Your dad and we want to see you. We want to talk. I hesitated. For months I had kept them at a distance, and honestly, it had been nice. But something in her voice made me say, okay. When they arrived, they looked different. For the first time, they didn't have that expectant, pressuring look in their eyes. Instead, they looked nervous, like they weren't sure if I would let them back in. Mom was the first to speak. Sarah, we owe you the biggest apology of our lives. I didn't say anything, she continued. We let Angelina manipulate us. We let her control the story, and we didn't listen to you. We failed you as parents. Dad nodded. You were right, about everything, and we're sorry. The words should have made me feel better, but forgiveness isn't like flipping a switch, so I took a deep breath and said, I appreciate that, but things aren't going to go back to the way they were overnight. Mom nodded quickly. We understand. We just want to earn back your trust. And for the first time in a long time, I felt like they actually meant it. I wish I could say that Angelina and I made up, that she learned her lesson, that we became close sisters again. But the truth? Some things break and never fully heal. I saw her once, a few months after she had the baby. It was at a family gathering, and she looked different, tired, overwhelmed. A single mother, raising a child with no support from the father, finally facing the consequences of her own actions. She approached me cautiously. "Hey," she said. "Hey," I replied. There was an awkward pause. Then she sighed. "I messed up," she admitted. I crossed my arms. "Yeah, you did." She looked down. "I don't expect you to forgive me. I'm sorry. I wanted to believe her. I really did. But after everything, I just wasn't ready. So I gave her a small nod. I appreciate that. And that was it. We weren't best friends again. We didn't hug and cry and make amends, but for the first time in her life, Angelina had to clean up her own mess, and that was enough for me. It's been a year since I walked away from that family dinner. A year since I finally chose myself, and you know what? I don't regret it. I've built a life that makes me happy. I have people in my life who respect me, who don't manipulate me, who don't expect me to sacrifice myself for their benefit. I've learned the value of boundaries, of saying no, even when it's hard. And most importantly, I've learned that family isn't just about blood. It's about who treats you with love and respect. And if someone, even family, crosses the line, you have every right to walk away. If you take anything from my story, let it be this. You do not owe anyone your body, your life, or your happiness, even if they're family. Stand your ground, set your boundaries, and never, ever let guilt force you into something you don't want. Because at the end of the day, the only person who truly has to live with your choices is you. Thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so and hit the notification bell to stay updated. With more shocking real-life stories happening around you, you